All right, ladies and gentlemen, emergency broadcast. We got some weather that's going to be coming in. Very cold temps, going to be stretching all the way down south. Texas, Florida, southern states. Get ready. Get ready. I would get all emergency, FEMA, everybody. Get them all. Very cold temps. They're talking possibly 60 below zero. And that's old day records, right? Back in the 70s and early 80s. So let's take a little bit of a look at a channel that's just released 27 minutes ago. The weather that's coming. I do believe the channel is Mr. Ryan Hall. Post his channel in my chat real quick. Copy. Paste. And let me put it in the description. Paste. Oh, no, don't do that. All right. We should be in there. All right, let's take a little look at this real quick. Let me rewind it a little bit.
Next big winter storm is going to be going. We're also starting watches and warnings make it farther east into the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic regions. This is going to be a place where the storm hits as well, but notice how we still have flood warnings in effect for a lot of Kentucky, southern Ohio, down into Tennessee, as the water is still out of its banks in a lot of these riverbeds, and the water is probably going to continue to be up as the snow falls, but you'll see those warnings expand all the way over into Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, and North Carolina over the next couple of days. Here's our winter storm outlook for today. We got a slight risk of a significant winter precipitation in southern South Dakota all the way down into Kansas and Missouri. That's going to expand into a much more impressive enhanced risk of a winter storm tomorrow. That includes Kansas City, St. Louis, down pretty close to Oklahoma City and northern portions of Arkansas. And then, of course, as we go into the day 3 outlook, we've got a slight risk of winter weather over here in eastern Kentucky down into pretty much the entire state of North Carolina and Virginia and West Virginia. What's driving this upcoming winter storm is a massive plume of extremely cold air, some of the coldest air of the season so far that's coming down from the Arctic. You can see here this evening, it's going to be around 50 degrees below average in places like Montana, down into Nebraska, Iowa, South Dakota, and North Dakota. This is going to be extreme cold. We're talking about, with the wind, negative 30 degrees to negative 60 degrees. Extremely impressive cold, making it all the way down into Texas, where temperatures will be below zero in the northern side. And then we're going to see this cold air just kind of stagnate over the central U.S. and move into the southeast once again, where it's going to hang out for a little bit. Let's take a look at what that radar could look like as we go into the early morning hours tomorrow. Here we are at 6 a.m. Tuesday, February 18th, and we've got ourselves some light to moderate snow breaking out from Nebraska into Kansas, all the way over into southern Illinois and Indiana. We're also going to start off as some frozen precipitation down here in north central Oklahoma, maybe some freezing rain. That will intensify as we get into the afternoon on Tuesday. Heavy snow in southeastern Kansas, heavy snow in northern Oklahoma, and once again, probably some significant icing going on at this time in Oklahoma into Arkansas. Looks like some convective freezing rain showers are going to be possible in Arkansas around Fort Smith around 6 p.m. on Tuesday. That's going to turn into some heavy snow around Joplin, Missouri, over towards Jefferson City and Springfield. The heavy snow is going to make it into western Kentucky and western Tennessee around 11 p.m. It does look like the heaviest snow and the coldest temperatures are going to be north of Memphis. It'll probably start off as some freezing rain and sleet in Memphis, but I do expect to see some snow, especially overnight and into the early morning hours on Wednesday in Memphis. And this is when it's also going to start snowing in Nashville. Watch out for heavy snow arriving in Lexington, Kentucky and Knoxville, Tennessee around 5 a.m. Wednesday. And then we're going to see that snow making it into Charleston, West Virginia around that same time. And we could see some heavy snow as far south as into northern portions of Alabama near Huntsville during the early morning hours on Wednesday as well. And all while this is happening up to the north, we're going to have severe weather potentially tomorrow So on Tuesday, down here from Houston to New Orleans, we've got a marginal risk of severe weather. We're mostly concerned about damaging winds here, but there's a slight chance of maybe an isolated tornado or two. We'll talk more about that right here in a second. Take a look at Texas and Louisiana. While the ice and snow is happening up there in Arkansas and Missouri into Kentucky, we are going to have some stronger storms forming late in the day on Tuesday in East Texas over here into southern portions of Louisiana. Those are going to continue into the early morning hours on Wednesday, bringing about some strong winds once again down here in southern Louisiana, maybe even some hail and a very isolated tornado risk, maybe even into the early morning hours on Wednesday in the Florida Panhandle over into southern Mississippi and extreme southern Alabama. So we've got to watch this whole area down here Tuesday and Wednesday for some isolated severe weather. Let's talk about projected snow totals. It does look like a lot of southeastern Kansas and southwestern Missouri is going to get over 6 inches of snow. I think Kansas City, you guys have got a good shot of getting anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of snow out of this one. Southeastern Kansas, maybe near Coffeyville and Pittsburgh, maybe 10 inches of snow in some of these areas. Wichita, 3 to 6 inches. Some of the hot spots are going to be the I-44 corridor between Joplin, Missouri and Rolla, Missouri. That includes Springfield, where I think we could easily see anywhere from 6 to 10 inches of snow out there. There will be a couple of places near central Missouri, maybe between Warsaw, Camden, and Lebanon that see over 10 inches of snow from this. So get ready for that in south central Missouri. St. Louis, this looks like a 2 to 4 inch situation for you. Memphis, this looks like a 1 to 3 inch situation for you. Same thing in Nashville.
Right.
Paducah, Kentucky, maybe 4 inches of snow or so. Louisville, Kentucky, I would say 2 to 4 inches. And then Lexington, same for you. General 2 to 4 inches of snow expected. But wait, before we get too much farther into that, I've got to take a brief moment here to shout out today's awesome sponsor, MyHeritage. Discover your family story. Lately, I've been doing a lot of research on my family tree via just off the coast of Long Island. We're going to see a lot of places with over 8 to 10 inches of snow just off the coast of New Jersey. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is a very close one. If the storm track shifts farther north and west by just 50 miles or so, this turns into a pretty big deal for a lot of people. And if it shifts farther northwest by 100 miles, this is a major storm for the Northeast. But right now, it looks like the trends are saying that this is going to be a more progressive storm that stays out to sea. And the hot spots, some of the greater accumulation amounts will be felt in Virginia, southern portions of Maryland, and extreme southern portions of Delaware. That includes Richmond, Virginia, which looks like it could see around 8 inches of snow. This looks more like a 2 to 4 inch situation for our friends in Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. It could be more than that once again if the storm moves Carolina, especially and specifically between Charlotte and Raleigh down towards Fayetteville, the I-95 corridor between Rocky Mount and Fayetteville, for example. I think that's where we have the best chance of seeing over a 1/4 of an inch of ice, and that could cause some very hazardous travel conditions. And as we know, it could also cause power outages. So make sure you're prepared for that. This is another thing that could change over time. We could see more ice than this. We could see a little bit less, but definitely at least a glaze of ice all the way from Greenville, South Carolina, maybe as far south as down into Columbia. Myrtle Beach might even have to deal with some ice out of this one, but especially from Charlotte over to Greenville, North Carolina. That's where I think we're going to have the biggest ice problems as we go through Thursday. So make sure you're prepared for that. And then I do think that there's a pretty good chance that we see some icing in Little Rock and Fort Smith, Arkansas. It doesn't look like it's going to be as big of a deal as over here in North Carolina, but the HRRR model that we just looked at did show some convective freezing rain showers, which means that it would be raining heavily and freezing on impact. So that will cause some pretty bad travel problems while it's happening. So make sure you are prepared for that as well. Okay, so what's next after this winter storm? After we get these troughs out of the way, the pattern is looking much more stable for the near future. We're going to have a big ridge building in the west, and you know what that means. Warmer temperatures are on the way. We're going to be much above average in Southern California, over into Arizona. Pretty much the entire West Coast is going to be much above average through February 26th. We're going to be near normal in the central U.S., and we're still going to be hanging on to those below average temperatures in the southeast until we get closer to March. Here's the 14-day temperature outlook from February 24th through March 2nd. We're going to continue to see that ridge build in the west, and we're going to see the cold temperatures exit to the east. And I think that these warm temperatures are going to continue to move east. So get ready. March might be a warm one in the central U.S. at least, and we might be near normal for a while in the northeast all the way down into the southeast. And we might get a break from the consistent cold. We were having trouble. That's all the weather talk I have for you today. today.
And
Thank you
that's
so
probably
much
what
for
that
watching, and
is,
huge
which is
shout out to everybody that went to the
unreal. Just
y'allsquad.org and donated yesterday. We've
phenomenal.
raised some money, and we're going to be doing a lot of stuff today, and hopefully we're going to be able
I
to
can't
update you
hear
on
you
Twitter.
at
So
all.
follow us on
You
Twitter
can't
and
hear me at
Facebook
all.
and all of our social media outlets to see
Debbie?
what's going on with the Y'all Squad. I actually don't even know
What are
the
the
total
meters?
number yet. We're getting ready to have a meeting, and I'll announce that tomorrow. But if you want to help us make even more of an impact and you haven't done
Can you hear me now? Stop the video if you want to talk. Oh, well, I don't know. Why was it making me sound like an alien? Alien. I don't know. It's going to get cold. Make sure you folks hunker down. Uh, you're going to get snow, ice. Get a hold of all the emergency places. It sounds all mixed up. What do you mean? I don't know. I'm going to end this video. I'll play it back and see what you're talking about. All right. You folks have a good day. I think we got everything right. It's working. I see the meters working. I'll be back. Oh, you mean when the video's playing, Deb? When the video's playing? That's what you're talking about. All right. Okay. Just hunker down, get ready. It's gonna get cold. It's gonna get snow, but then I think in a week or so it gets warm. But we'll just have to get ready. Remember, if you live around here, or if you live in the apartment complex, keep your water drizzling just a little bit. Uh, just a little to keep the water flowing. And hunker down. It's gonna be cold. Uh, yeah, and watch your heaters. Don't have too many heaters plugged in, or use your baseboards. But if you're using your baseboard heat, make sure there's nothing around that heater. And we're just going to have to hunker down as a community and plow trucks, get ready. Thank God we're not getting that much snow here. Mainly just real cold temps. Hello, Miss ATS News. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing good. Did you see all the new stuff with the Delphi case? It's just unbelievable. All right, you folks have a good day. Hunker down. Debbie, hunker down. Keep your water flowing. Miss ATS News, I don't think you guys are going to get too much up there, but you should be all right. Rest of the middle section of America, let's get ready. You folks have a good day. God bless.